So BrainStuff, did you know there's only 2 countries without legally partially paid time off for working women who just had a kid? Yeah, it's Papua New Guinea and, wait for it, the United States. And that's kind of crazy when you consider that women are 47% of the workforce in the US. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics found that as of 2013, 64% of mothers with kids under the age of 6 work. So why don't we have paid maternity leave? Maternity leave is a federal and employer-sponsored policy used primarily by working women for childbirth. There's different policies all over the world, but they all have 3 goals in common. 1, to keep women as part of the workforce after childbirth. 2, to promote gender equality. And 3, to encourage citizens to have more children. But do these policies work? And do they meet their goals? In the US, we have the Family and Medical Leave Act passed by Congress in 1993. It allows parents to take up to 12 work weeks of leave after the birth of a child, but it does not require an employer to pay these new parents. It just protects their job. About half of working Americans are covered by the FMLA, and only 12% of workers have access to paychecks while on leave. A Cornell University study found that women in the US are more likely to drop out of the workforce than women in countries with paid leave. And the ones who keep working are more likely to have high-paying jobs and a college education. However, countries with paid leave, like Canada, have more women in low-paying jobs and part-time jobs. Researchers found that in Russia, even during the transition from communism, paid maternity leave helped women stay in the labor market. Other studies link paid maternity leave to higher job retention as well. So yes, maternity leave seems to keep women working. What about equality between men and women? Well, having children usually widens any pre-existing earnings gaps between male and female employees. Women often have babies right at the peak of their careers, and this disrupts their economic stability so that an American woman's earnings decrease by 4% for each child she has. And weirdly, men's wages actually increase by 6% for each of their kids. When women enter the workforce, there's barely any gap in wages, but as they get older and progress in their careers, the discrepancy grows, especially when they have those money-grubbing children. In fact, a 2010 study found that as much as half of the wage gap is because women take time off to raise children, losing 3% of their earnings each year they're away from work. So it seems that whether maternity leave is paid or not, having children results in lower wages for women, leaving a gap in gender equality. So far, we're 1 for 2 with maternity leave making its goals. So how's it doing at encouraging people to have babies? Well, previous research has indicated that women wait to have children based on their employment status. But in the US, women eligible for leave have their first child a year earlier than women who aren't eligible. The implementation of the FMLA seems to have increased fertility rates among eligible women, raising the probability they'll give birth to both a first and a second child. And in other countries, there's evidence that incentive-driven policies either have a positive impact on fertility or no effect at all. There's a little bit of data bias looking at these fertility rates because mothers who already wanted more than one child are more likely to take certain kinds of jobs and have longer maternity leaves with their first birth. But it's fair to say that maternity leave policies do increase the likelihood of citizens having children. 2 out of 3 goals ain't bad. But if we want maternity leave to meet its goals of sustaining a healthy, fair, and hardworking society, we can do better. So tell us in the comments about the kind of maternity leave that's available where you live and work. And to celebrate Mother's Day this week, I'm also hosting a What the Stuff episode on 5 famous mothers, as well as a Stuff Mom Never Told You episode on baby fever. Check them out. And for more information on moms, maternity, and babies, you can find all of our articles, podcasts, and videos at HowStuffWorks.com.